Hi, Acadiana. Meteorologist Dave Baker here on a Monday, a very chilly Monday. Hard to believe that we're still talking about hurricane season now that we're getting some of our first winter blasts here in South Louisiana. But we still have hurricane season that continues for another 20 days. It ends on November the 30th. And usually during the month of November, we have one named storm. We have not had one yet. The last one we had was Melissa after it hit Jamaica and Bermuda and the Bahamas and Cuba and then moved out to sea. It's been pretty quiet, and usually the month of November is relatively quiet, but we'll go ahead and take a look and see if we've got anything coming up for this week or the following week. And again, we're going to be rounding out hurricane season 2025. So far, we've had 13 named storms. 14 is the average, but we've had a lot more hurricanes, or rather major hurricanes, than normal. We've had 4 major hurricanes, including 3 of those that became Category 5s. Let's go ahead and take a look outside. Again, it's a very cold day here in South Louisiana. Temperatures were bottoming out in the 30s, and we're going to warm up into the 50s later this afternoon, but it's not going to feel very warm thanks to those gusty winds continuing out of the north. And as far as a beach day, if you like a nice cold walk on the beach during the winter, it is your day, and we've got brilliant sunshine out there all along the northern Gulf Coast, and I do think we're going to stay with mostly sunny skies all the way through the afternoon. And that extends from the Florida Panhandle all the way back over to southeastern Texas. Now, what is not great is we do have a pretty rough area of seas out there in the middle part of the Gulf waters, and we have small craft advisories and gale warnings that have been posted out over the Gulf waters. So not a great boating day in the open waters, and probably still pretty brisk in our inland lakes and bays too. So not a great day for fishing or boating this time around. Although we don't have any worries on precipitation, which is good news because a lot of what we're seeing back up here toward the northeast is in the form of snow, believe it or not. I know if you caught the Saints game yesterday, and then when it switched over to the Bears game, you saw some light snow there at Soldier Field up in Chicago. And that's all part of a big trough of low pressure. It's pretty deep, too. It's dipped all the way down here to the southeast, where we've got the very, very cold temperatures filtering in. Basically, the door has been open from Canada, and that's why we've been seeing these very cold temperatures here locally this morning. Now, the skies are going to stay clear, except for the far offshore waters. You do have that colder air that's kind of interacting with some of the warmer waters of the Gulf, so you do have a little bit of low-level stratus that's going to be out over the central and southern part of the Gulf waters. So if you're working offshore, on one of the platforms out there. I hope you're having a great day out there. It's going to be rough, but it's also going to be cloudy, and then on top of that, you got the gusty winds and the colder temperatures. So not a fun day out in the Gulf waters until you get way far down to the south. That cold front has made it all the way down to the Yucatan, and we're going to see some cooler temperatures dropping down into Mexico and Guatemala and into Belize as well. We've got some tropical moisture over the western part of the Caribbean, but at this point, we're not expecting any tropical development there. And as far as the Caribbean, everything looks fine too. We got a little tropical wave that's kind of working westward here over the western part of the Atlantic, and that's going to be moving into the southern Windward Islands and probably bring some scattered showers there. And the rest of the Atlantic is very, very quiet. Colder air not only filtering in over the Gulf and the western part of the Atlantic, but we're now starting to see some of the colder air masses dropping southward here over the eastern Atlantic, which generally shuts down our hurricane season over the eastern Atlantic toward the latter part of the month of October. So really, if we're going to be looking at any development, this is going to be your most likely area for development, and that would be your secondary area for the next couple of weeks here as we go through the month of November. But according to the National Hurricane Center, we're not expecting any new activity here over the next 7 days, and the Global Tropics Hazard Outlook that was issued last week keeps things quiet all the way through November the 25th. We'll get an update on this on Tuesday, so I'll have this for you next week. But I'm not really expecting a whole lot of development. There just really isn't a lot in the models, nor is there anything really that's looking pretty interesting out in the tropics at this point. So let's go ahead and start with the global models. We'll start with the Euro. We'll go all the way back here to this morning, and you can obviously we've got that very dry air that's covered pretty much the entire Gulf waters. There you go, right there. That frontal boundary dropping those dew points and dropping the humidity levels, and over the next couple of days, we're going to see that dry air holding in place. And if you notice, as we scooted out several hours here, several days, we get a little ripple of energy that's going to move across the south that could give us some showers over the weekend. But looking out in the mid part of the Atlantic, there really just aren't any signs at all that any tropical weather is going to develop. Let's move on to the GFS and kind of do the same thing. We got a lot of dry air over the central Atlantic, dry air over the western Atlantic and much of the Gulf. Caribbean kind of moistens up a little bit with a return flow that could bring us some showers toward the weekend locally. But as far as any tropical weather, again, the GFS is not indicating anything. Maybe a subtropical type of system coming off the Atlantic coast and zipping its way across the northern part of the Atlantic. But nothing really showing up on the models according to the Euro or the GFS. Let's go ahead and grab the Canadian. Very, very similar. A lot of dry air across the Atlantic basin. No low pressure areas are expected to develop. Some rain could come into the northern Gulf Coast as we head into the weekend with a system zipping off toward the northeast. But outside of that, I'm not seeing any tropical development here on the Canadian model as well. So good news there. Tropical cyclone heat potential is really starting to drop off. So even though we're still a bit concerned, this is more the development area during the month of November, and there's some high heat content that's in place there right now. But without any decent tropical waves coming in that direction, we don't expect any new development. And look at the water temperatures already starting to cool down here over the northern part of the Gulf. We're down below 80 degrees over most areas. Same goes for the coast of Florida and then upward toward the Carolinas. Everything's starting to calm down, and we're hopefully going to close shop, and the wind shear is going to really start to pick up over the Atlantic basin. So even if there was a tropical wave looking interesting, it would likely be sheared apart fairly quickly as it moves across the Atlantic. So as expected, as we get into the month of November, you can see there's really usually not much activity during this month. It's pretty similar to what we would see during the month of June. On average, we have about one named storm during the month of November, but at this point, just looking out at the next couple of weeks, I don't see anything new. So hopefully we're done for the 2025 season, and therefore we would end with 13 named storms, with 14 being the average. So a little below average on the number of named storms, but still it was a very busy season with 4 major hurricanes, 3 of those, of course, becoming Category 5s. Well, I hope you enjoy Let's Talk Tropics. If you do like this video, subscribe to my channel and also turn on those notifications. And remember, you can hear my forecasts on Big 102.1, Planet Radio 106.7, and Freedom 95.1. You can also catch me at WBRZ. I will be on the noon show today. If you want to catch that, there's a link below in the description for our live stream, but many of you do catch Channel 2 on your TV. I'd appreciate a visit. I'm here usually on weekends and the early part of the work week. Also follow my social media pages on Facebook and X, and thanks to everyone who's already subscribed to Acadiana Weather Today right here on YouTube. I'm Meteorologist Dave Baker. Have yourself a great Monday, and I'll see you for Acadiana Weather Today tomorrow morning around 7 o'clock.